inquisitive. Artha arthi, one who desires material gain. Jnani, one who knows things as they are. Cha, also. Bharatar Shabha, O great one amongst the descendants of Bharat. So, 4 kinds of render services unto me, persons, those who are pious. O Arjun, the distressed, the inquisitive, one who desires material gain, one who knows things as they are. Also, O great one amongst the descendants of Bharat. So translation is like this. O best among the Bharatas, Arjun, 4 kinds of pious men render devotion service unto me. The distressed, the desirer of wealth, the inquisitive, and he who is searching for knowledge of the absolute. So here Krishna is talking about, or telling Arjuna about 4 kinds of pious people who comes under the to Krishna, who's praying to Krishna. Now we'll read the purport. Unlike the miscreants, these are adherents of the regulative principles of the scriptures, and they called Sukritina, or those who obey the rules and regulations of scriptures, the moral and social laws, and are more or less devoted to the Supreme Lord. Out of these, there are 4 classes of men: those who are sometimes distressed, those who are in need of money, those who are sometimes inquisitive, and those who are sometimes searching after knowledge of the absolute truth. These persons come to the Supreme Lord for devotion service under different conditions. These are not pure devotees because they have some aspiration to fulfill in exchange for devotion service. Pure devotion service is without aspiration and without desire for material profit. The Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu defines pure devotion thus: Anyabhilashita shunyam jnanakarmadi anavratam anukullena krishnanu shilanam bhaktir uttama. One who renders transcendental loving service to the Supreme Lord Krishna favorably and without desire for material profit or gain through fruitive activities or philosophical speculation, that is called pure devotion service. So when these 4 kinds of persons come to the Supreme Lord for devotion service and are completely purified by the association of a pure devotee, they also become pure devotees. As far as the
You can share now if you want to. Sorry.
Oh, yes.
You can share now if you want to.
Yes. I think I'll do that probably, yeah. Yeah. So when these 4 kinds of persons come to the Supreme Lord for devotion service and are completely purified by the association of a pure devotee, they also become pure devotees. As far as the miscreants are concerned, for them devotion service is very difficult because their lives are selfish, irregular, and without spiritual goals. But even some of them, by chance, when they come in contact with a pure devotee, also become pure devotees. Those who are always busy with fruitive activities come to the Lord in material distress, and at that time associate with pure devotees and become in in their distress, devotees of the Lord. Those who are simply frustrated also come sometimes to associate with the pure devotees and become inquisitive to know about God. Similarly, when the dry philosophers are frustrated in every field of knowledge, they sometimes want to learn of God, and they come to the Supreme Lord to render devotional service, and thus transcend knowledge of the impersonal Brahman and the localized Paramatma, and come to the personal conception of Godhead by the grace of the Supreme Lord or his pure devotee. On the whole, when the distressed, the inquisitive, and seekers of knowledge, and those who are in need of money are free from all material desires, and when they fully understand that material remuneration has nothing to do with the spiritual improvement, they become pure devotees. As long as such a purified stage is not attained, devotees in transcendental service to the Lord are tainted with fruitive activities, and they search after mundane knowledge, etc. So one has to transcend all this before one can come to the stage of pure devotional service. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So, so this verse talks about four kinds of pious people, and it talks about the pious means Sukritno. So Sukritno is pious people, and Duskritno is miscreants. And this verse talks about these four pious Sukritno. So Srila Prabhupada says in his lecture that Artho and Artharthi, distressed and desirer of wealth, comes in Grasta, means they are bhogi. And Jigyasur and Jnani, inquisitive and in search of knowledge, comes in Brahmachari and Sannyasi, means Tyagi. So bhogi and Tyagi, that's what's going on. So we are trying to enjoy material energy and gratify our senses, and after sometimes we fed up and want to leave this madness. So this bhog and tyag is going like a pendulum. But Srila Prabhupada are saying that the point is in this verse is bhajante mam, means render service to Krishna, not to anyone else or any other demigods, but exclusive to Krishna or Supreme Lord. So this material world is dukhalyam, like everybody is distressed by threefold miseries. But pious men who come to Krishna for their aspiration are the Sukritna. So less intelligent people go to demigods for their desires or want to get relief from miseries. Similarly, nowadays people using modern science to mitigate their difficulties or sufferings and getting more entangled and bewildered by these inventions. And they think that they will mitigate the miseries, but it's working opposite. So let's see these four types of pious people one by one. So the first is Artho, or the distressed. So they go to Krishna in distress, as this material world is full of miseries. So we all get ups and downs in our lives, and pious people go to Krishna. And the example I want to take is, there is an example in Srimad Bhagavatam, is Gajendra Moksha. It's in Canto 8. And in that Canto 8, there is a little introduction. So I just want to read that. It talks about the Gajendra Moksha. Srila Prabhupada says that the second and third and fourth chapter of this canto describe how the Lord, during the reign of the fourth Manu, gave protection to the king of elephants, as described in this second chapter. When the king of the elephants, along with his female elephants, was enjoying in the water, a crocodile suddenly attacked him, and the elephant surrendered to the lotus feet of the personality of Godhead for protection. In the midst of the ocean of milk, there is a very high and beautiful mountain that has an altitude of 10,000 yojanas or 80,000 miles, And this mountain is known as Trikuta. And in a valley of Trikuta, there is a nice garden named Ratumat, which was constructed by Varuna. And in the area, there is a very nice lake. Once the chief of the elephants, along with female elephants, went to enjoy bathing in the lake, and they disturbed the inhabitants of the water. Because of this, the chief crocodile in the water, who was very powerful, immediately attacked the elephant's leg. Thus, there ensued a great fight between the elephant and the crocodile, and this fight continued for 1,000 years. Neither the elephant nor the crocodile died, but since they were in the water, the elephant gradually became weak, whereas the power of the crocodile increased more and more. Thus, the crocodile became more and more encouraged. And then the elephant, being helpless and seeing that there was no other way for his protection, sought after at the lotus feet of Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is the Artho, that when he was in the distressed position, he prayed to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And there are two verses actually in this chapter 8, Canto 8, chapter 2, in the last two verses. I just want to read the translation. The verse number 32 says, "The other elephant who are my friends and relatives could not rescue me from this danger. What then to speak of my wives? They cannot do anything. It is by the will of Providence that I have been attacked by this crocodile, and therefore I shall seek shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is always the shelter of everyone, even a great personalities." And Srila Prabhupada says in the purport that this world is described as Padam Padam Yad Vipadam, means that every step there is danger. A fool wrongly thinks that he is happy in this material world, but in fact he is not. And one who thinks that way is only illusion. And at every step, at every moment, there is danger. In modern civilization, one thinks that he has a nice home, a nice car, and he has a perfect life. But Prahlad Maharaj says that we may invent so many ways to be happy or to counteract the dangers of this material world, but unless our attempts are sanctioned by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they will never make us happy. Those who try to be happy without taking shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are mudhas or rascals. So without the sanction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, nothing happens. So Lord Krishna also says in Bhagavad Gita, Maya Dhakshena Prakriti. So Prakriti, the nature, this material energy is working under the direction of Supreme Lord Krishna. And in the next verse, in the last verse, the 33, it says that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is certainly not known to everyone, but he is very powerful and influential. Therefore, although the serpent of eternal time, which is fearful in force, endlessly chase everyone, ready to swallow him, if one who fears this serpent seeks shelter of the Lord gives him protection. For even death runs away in fear of the Lord. I therefore surrender unto him, the great and powerful Supreme Authority, who is the actual shelter of everyone. So the death is the most fearful thing. As Srila Prabhupada also explained in the purport of the same verse, that we are always in danger because of any moment death can come. And it is not only Gajendra, the king of the elephants, was afraid of death. Everyone should fear death because everyone is caught by the crocodile of eternal time and may die at any moment. The best course, therefore, is to seek shelter of Krishna and Supreme Personality of Godhead and be saved from the struggle for existence in this material world, in which one repeatedly takes birth and death. To reach this understanding is the ultimate goal of life. So, So this is the example that the king of elephants, the Gajendra, how in the moment of distress or in the fear of death, he came in the shelter of the Lord, and he offered the prayers to the Lord. And there is a famous bhajan by Surdas describing Gajendra mocks, Hey Govinda, Hey Gopal, Ab to Jivan Hare. So when we are in stressed and in this kind of situation, so the best remedy is actually Srila Gurudev also said that just read Bhagavatam, just read Srimad Bhagavatam. And Srila Prabhupada also said, chant and be happy. So the best remedy is chanting and reading Srimad Bhagavatam. And so this is the situation of the Artha pious people, because they don't go to somewhere else to mitigate. They come in the shelter of Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, the second type of pious people are Jigyasu, the inquisitive. Now, the people who want to know about Krishna seriously, not just like children asking questions all the time and on the sake of asking, and not really interested in answers. Similarly, in distress, people pray to God, and when distress is gone, and they forget about the God and carry on their sense gratification activities. This is not the example here. So our inquisitiveness must be Atato Brahma Jigyasa. So now the Brahma Jigyasa means the inquiry about the Brahma. The example is in Srimad Bhagavatam. It is in first canto. Is Shonaka Rishi, asking Srila Sutta Goswami about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is the inquisitiveness, that how the question should be asked and what type of question should be asked. So there is a verse in Canto 1, Chapter 1, verse 13, where I just read the translation. O Sutta Goswami, we are eager to learn about the personality of Godhead and his incarnations. Please explain to us those teachings imparted by previous masters or acharyas. For one is uplifted both by speaking them and by hearing them. So this is the example of inquisitiveness. The sages ask the questions. So there are actually 6 questions asked by the sages. What are these? The first one is that, please, therefore, being blessed by many years, explain to us in an easy, understandable way what you have ascertained to be the absolute and ultimate good for the people in general. So this is the first question they ask. Second, there are many varieties of scriptures, and in all of them, there are many prescribed duties which can be learned only after many years of study in their various divisions. Therefore, O sage, please select the essence of all these scriptures and explain it for the good of all living beings, and that by such instructions, their hearts may be fully satisfied. So this is the second question. And the third question, all blessing upon you, O Sutta Goswami, you know for what purpose the personality of Godhead appeared in the womb of Devaki as the son of Vasudeva. Fourth, his transcendental acts are magnificent and gracious, and great learned sages like Narad sing of them. Please therefore speak to us who are eager to hear about the adventures he performed in his various incarnations. Number 5, O wise Sutta, please narrate to us the transcendental pastimes of the Supreme Godhead's multi-incarnations. Such auspicious adventures and pastimes of the Lord, the Supreme Controller, are performed by his internal powers. And number 6, since Sri Krishna, the Absolute Truth, the master of all mystic powers, has departed for his own abode, please tell us whom the religious principles have now gone for shelter. So these are the 6 questions that has been asked for the benefit of all the humanity. And actually, only questions related to Krishna are worthy of asking, not just mundane matters. And this example teaches us that what sort of question we should be asking to our Guru. As pure devotee of the Lord, he is on the mission of the Lord. So his time is very precious, is very valuable. So we must not waste his time by asking mundane questions. So Srila Sutta Goswami was very pleased by the questions and spoken these verses. So Sutta Goswami says that, O sages, I have been justly questioned by you. Your questions are worthy because they relate to Lord Krishna and so are of relevance to the world's welfare. Only questions of this sort are capable of completely satisfying the self. And Srila Prabhupada said in the purport that the whole world is full of questions and answers. The birds, beasts, and men are all busy in matters of perpetual questions and answers. In the morning, the birds in the nest become busy with questions and answers. And in the evening, also the same birds comes back and again become busy with questions and answers. The human being, unless he is fast asleep at night, is busy with questions and answers. The businessmen in the market are busy with questions and answers. And so also the lawyers in the court and the students in the school and colleges, the legislators in the parliament are also busy with questions and answers. And the politicians and the press representatives are all busy with questions and answers. Although they go on making such questions and answers for their whole lives, they are not at all satisfied. Satisfaction of the soul can only be obtained by questions and answers on the subject of Krishna. We cannot live for a moment without being questions or without giving answers, because the Srimad Bhagavatam deals with questions and answers that are related to Krishna. We can derive the highest satisfaction only by reading and hearing this transcendental literature. One should learn the Srimad Bhagavatam and make an all-around solution to all problems pertaining to social, political or religious matters. Srimad Bhagavatam and Krishna are the sum total of all things. So here, Srila Prabhupada is saying that this whole world is question and answers, but it's not just mundane question and answers. The real satisfaction comes when we inquire about Krishna. So this is the example of inquisitiveness that the pious people, then real inquisitive pious people, what they inquire about, not inquiring about how to make money, but inquiring about Krishna. So now we go to the third type of pious men, and these are artha, arthi, desires of wealth. So some people come to Krishna to get material wealth. I have seen in my childhood, actually, because I'm from Hindu background, so we have different pujas sometimes at home for the prosperity and all that, like Satyanarayan Katha. I think it's very common in homes, and people having different pujas and yagnas for the getting prosperity and singing. This is famous Aarti, Om Jai Jagdish Hare, Sukh Sampati Ghar Aave, Kasht Mite Tanka. So this famous Aarti is people singing in pujas. So this is still better than miscreants who never come to Krishna. Now, if such pious people come in contact with pure devotees, then they also get purified and becomes pure devotees. So there is example, like Srila Prabhupada said in purport that what is the pure devotion service? Anya Bhilashita Shunyam. So, Jnana Karmadi Anavritam. Now, but again, as we're discussing about the artharthi, the desire of wealth, when they come to the Supreme Lord, not going to the demigods, not going to the different people, just come to the Supreme Lord. So this is about those pious people. And the example of this category there is in Srimad Bhagavatam is Dhruv Maharaj. Because Dhruv Maharaj, only in 5 years old, he was 5 years old, and he got distressed by the words of his stepmother. And when he wants to sit on his father's lap, but then by the instructions of his mother, he left home to do austerity and meditate on the Supreme Lord. And on the way, Narad Muni met him and tried to console him. So Dhruv Maharaj wanted to get the kingdom of bigger than his father and his grandfather and great grandfather is Lord Brahma. So he wanted the very big kingdom. So it is a like aspiration, but his mother instructed him to meditate on Lord Vishnu or Supreme Lord. So I'll just wanted to refer some verses from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 8. There's a verse number 37, and it says that, O learned Brahmana, I want to, is Dhruv Maharaj saying to Narad Muni, because when Narad Muni was met Dhruv Maharaj while he was going into the forest. So Dhruv Maharaj said, O learned Brahmana, I want to occupy a position more exalted than any yet achieved within the three worlds by anyone, even by my fathers and grandfathers. If you will oblige, kindly advise me of an honest path to follow by which I can achieve the goal of my life. And Srila Prabhupada said in purport that when Dhruv Maharaj refused to accept the Brahmanical instruction of Narad Muni, naturally the next question would be what sort of instructions he wanted. So even before Narad Muni asked Dhruv Maharaj, expressed his heartfelt desire, his father, of course, was the emperor of the entire world, and his grandfather, Lord Brahma, was the creator of the universe. Dhruv Maharaj expressed his desire to possess a kingdom better than those of his father and grandfather. He frankly stated that he wanted a kingdom which had no competitor within the three worlds, namely the higher, middle, and lower planetary systems. The greatest personality within this universe is Lord Brahma, and Dhruv Maharaj wanted a position even greater than his. So he wanted to take advantage of Narad Muni's presence because he knew very well that if Narad Muni, the greatest devotee of the Lord, could bless him and show him the path, then certainly he would be able to occupy a more exalted position than any person within the three worlds. Thus, he wanted help from Naradji to achieve that position. And Dhruv Maharaj wanted a position greater than the Brahma. This was practically an impossible proposition. But by pleasing the Supreme Personality of Godhead, a devotee can achieve even the impossible. One particular point mentioned here is that Dhruv Maharaj wanted to occupy an exalted position, not by hook or by crook, but by honest means. And this indicates that if Krishna offered him such a position, then he would accept it. That is the nature of a devotee. He may desire material gain, but he accepts it only if Krishna offers it. Dhruv Maharaj was sorry to refuse the instruction of Narad Muni. Therefore, he requested him to be merciful to him by showing a path by which he could fulfill his mind's desire. So, Narad Muni instructed Dhruv Maharaj on the meditation of the Supreme Lord and gave him the mantra Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And Dhruv Maharaj performed very severe austerity. The first month he ate only fruits and berries, and every third day. Second month he ate every 6 days, dry grass and leaves. Third month he drank water only every 9 days. And in the fourth month, he controlled his breathing and inhaled air only every 12th day. And in the fifth month, he perfected his breathing and stand on one leg. And in 6th month, Dhruv Maharaj closed all the holes of his body and total universal breathing became choked. Then demigods prayed to the Supreme Lord to save them from this danger. And the Supreme Personality of Godhead then gave darshan to Dhruv Maharaj. And on pleasing by the prayers of Dhruv Maharaj, and Dhruv Maharaj said, on pleasing of the prayer of Dhruv Maharaj, Lord said, Shri Bhagwan Vacha, the personality of God had said, "My dear Dhruv, son of king, you have executed pious vows, and I also know the desire within your heart. Although your desire is very ambitious and very difficult to fulfill, I shall favor you with its fulfillment. All good fortune unto you." Srila Prabhupada said that the Lord is so merciful to his devotee that he immediately said to Dhruv Maharaj, "Let there be all good fortune for you." The fact is that Dhruv Maharaj was very much afraid in his mind for he had aspired after material benefit in discharging his devotion service, and this was hampering him from reaching the stage of love of God. In the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, verse 44, it is said, "Bhog Ashwarya Prasaktanam." Those who are addicted to material pleasure cannot be attracted to devotion service. It was true that at heart Dhruv Maharaj wanted a kingdom that would be far better than Brahmalok. This was a natural desire for a Kshatriya. He was also only 5-year-old, and in his childish way, he desired to have kingdom far greater than his fathers, grandfathers, or great-grandfathers. His father, Uttanpad, was the son of Manu, and Manu was the son of Lord Brahma. And Dhruv wanted to excel all these great family members. The Lord knew Dhruv Maharaj's childish ambition, but how was it possible to offer Dhruv a position more exalted than Lord Brahma? The Lord assures Dhruv Maharaj that Dhruv would not be bereft of the Lord's love. He encouraged Dhruv not to be worried that he childishly had materially desire, and at the same time had the pure aspiration to be a great devotee. Generally, the Lord does not award a pure devotee material opulence, even though he may desire it. But Dhruv Maharaj's case was different. The Lord knew that he was such a great devotee that in spite of having material opulence, he would never be deviated from love of God. This example illustrates that a highly qualified devotee can have the facility of material enjoyment and at the same time execute love of God. This, however, was a special case of Dhruv Maharaj. So just that we can understand that this pastime, that we should follow the footsteps of great personalities. As Srila Prabhupada said that Dhruv Maharaj was a special case, and he wanted to occupy an exalted position, not by hook or crook, by the honest means. And this indicates that if Krishna offered him such a position, then he would accept it. Then in the nature of a devotee, he may desire material gain, but he accepts only when Krishna offers it. So this is the point to be understand here, that we can't force our material desires on Krishna. Although we go to Krishna, we must go to Krishna for everything, but we only accept what Krishna provides us and only satisfy in that, because Krishna knows better what is good for us and what is bad for us. So this is the point of view of a devotee, that devotee never, as Srila Prabhupada said, that generally Krishna don't give material opulence to pure devotee because it might hamper or it might entangle in him in this material world. So this is the Artharthi point, the pious people, who the example of Dhruv Maharaj. Now the fourth type of pious people are Jnanis, and searching for the knowledge of Absolute. Now this type of people are yogis and renounced everything in the search of transcendental knowledge. Now these people are called transcendentalists, and they are in search of higher truth and knows we are not this body. But most of Jnanis are impersonalists, and after liberations, they are after liberations. And if they come to the contact with pure devotee, they also become personalists and devotee of the Lord. Actually, there is an example. There's different examples of Lord Chaitanya also, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But in Srimad Bhagavatam, if we see there is an example of Srila Shukadeva Goswami. in Canto 2. So, chapter 1, verse 9, it says that, O saintly king, I was certainly situated perfectly in transcendence, yet I was still attracted by the delineation of the pastimes of the Lord, who is described by enlightened verses. Actually, Sukdev Goswami, he was he's already like a Nani. He's already a yogi. And Srila Prabhupada said that the absolute truth is realized at the impersonal Brahman at the first instance by philosophical speculation, and later as the super soul by further progress of transcendental knowledge. But if by the grace of the Lord an impersonalist is enlightened by the superior statements of Srimad Bhagavatam, he is also converted into transcendental devotee of the personality of Godhead. With a poor fund of knowledge, we cannot adjust to the idea of the personality of the absolute truth, and the personal activities of the Lord are deplored by the less intelligent impersonalists. But reason and arguments, together with the transcendental process of approaching the absolute truth, help even the staunch impersonalist to become attracted by the personal activities of the Lord. A person like Sukdev Goswami cannot be attracted by mundane activities, but when such a devotee is convinced by a superior method, he is certainly attracted by the transcendental activities of the Lord. And the Lord is transcendental, as are his activities, and he is neither inactive nor impersonal. So Srila Sukadeva Goswami, after studying Srimad Bhagavatam, attracted to Krishna and his activities. Before he was impersonal, like he was attracted to impersonal aspect of the Lord. And this is mentioned in Canto 2, chapter 1, verse 8, that at the end of the Dwapara Yuga, this Sukadeva Goswami is saying, that at the end of the Dwapara Yuga, I studied this great supplement of Vedic literature named Srimad Bhagavatam, which is equal to all the Vedas, from my father, Srila Devapayan Vyasadeva. So there are other examples of different, like as I mentioned before, that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also converted impersonalists into personalists in Banaras, and then Bhattacharya is converted by Mahaprabhu. So the real knowledge is to know the full features of the Lord, because at the Nani stage, most of the Nanis, they are impersonalists. They are after Brahma Jyoti or liberation. But as Srimad Bhagavatam, it also mentioned that Brahmeti Paramatmeti Bhagwaniti Sabhyate. This is a Canto 1, chapter 2, verse 11. That learned transcendentalists who know the absolute truth call this non-dual substance Brahman, Paramatma, or Bhagwan. So these are the position of the Nanis. And Lord Krishna talks about this kind of Nanis in the next verse. That's in chapter 7, verse 17. That Tesam Jnani Niyukta Eka Bhakti Vishishyate Priyo hi Nanino Atyartham Sacha Mama Priyaha. Translation: of these, the wise one who is in full knowledge, in union with me through pure devotional service, is the best, for I am very dear to him and he is dear to me. So pure devotional service is superior to knowledge, because knowledge itself won't save us from contamination. Unless we serve pure devotee of the Lord and follow their instructions sincerely, we cannot get purified. By the causeless mercy of pure devotee, we get the chance. And Lord says in Srimad Bhagavatam, actually, this is another pastimes and of Ambrish Maharaj in Canto 9, chapter 4, verse 63. Lord says that Shri Bhagwan Uvacha Aham Bhakta Paradhino Hai Ashwar Hi Ashwatantra iva dvija sadhubhir grasta hirdayo bhakter bhakta jana priyaha. Translation: The Supreme Personality of Godhead said to the Brahmana, I am completely under the control of my devotees. Indeed, I am not at all independent. Because my devotees are completely devoid of material desires, I sit only within the course of their hearts. What to speak of my devotee, even those who are devotees of my devotees are very dear to me. So our mood should be serving the servants of the servants of the servants of the servants of the Lord. Dasanu dasanu dasa. Das dasanu dasa. It's in Chaitanya Charitamrita. So this is the pure devotee's mood. And these four kinds of pious people, they come to Krishna with some aspiration. But a pure devotee does not have any aspiration other than Krishna. And this is the difference, that Krishna is so merciful that if pious people come to Krishna with aspiration, he still accepts them because there is affection. And main thing is that we accept higher authority and not taking, and not thinking that we are independent. And everything, because everything is under control of Krishna. So that's how I conclude here, that these four types of pious men, they come to Krishna. And previous verse, there is four miscreants, they don't come to Krishna. And so this is the difference we can see. And there is a difference between the pure devotional service and coming to Krishna with aspiration. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare.
Yeah, Hare Krishna, Jiru. Thank you very much for your class. Now, anyone has any questions or something to realize, your realizations, please feel free to share now. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Dhanuvat Pranam Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah, please accept my humble obeisance, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, there was a time when I joined this session today, and you were talking about the questions and answers. Very nice it was. Okay, I do accept with the point what you had, today discuss with the lecture, and
Can
it's
you
really
share
nice.
your screen, please? Can you share yourself, please? If you ask a question, we would like to see your face. Thank you.
Yeah, sure, Prabhu. Sure. My face, a lot of people wants to see.
Because it comes as a blank,
Yeah. No,
on the
because this
screen.
mobile got some problem, Prabhu. A lot of issues. Okay. So when we're talking about the questions and answers, Prabhu, I realize a lot of time, particularly in the ISKCON, when we ask some questions to the counselors, to the devotees who are, regularly giving the classes and everything. In fact, sometimes I faced also long back, okay, where I was supposed to not to be asked questions, particularly. When I was I'm still in Auckland, So although, the questions are very much simple, but they didn't, allow us to ask the questions. So that's what the thing. Why is it like that? Can you just explain me about that one?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. It might be the relative to the different people, probably, because questions, as Srila Prabhupada talks about, that this whole world is about questions and answers, question and answers. So in particular situation, when you ask questions, so it might be just related to that situation of yours. If you're asking a question for general mass, then it's a different thing. But if you're asking a question that related to your situation, then that might be the reason that they want to don't want to give the answers in the whole public because other people might think otherwise. That might be a one point of view. And another reason can be that they don't know the answer. So, but yeah, so those two situations I can think of. And but I wanted to request Amrish Prabhuji if he can elaborate a little bit more on this topic, because this question answer is this. Everybody has questions, you know.
Yeah, but unless and until we know what the situation is, we do not know the answers. So to answer the question, we need to know the situation. So why some situation happened, we would not know the background, you know. Yeah. You know.
Is it okay, Prabhuji?
Quite okay, but then if we doesn't get the reply, suppose, because it happens plenty of times to me, you know, Prabhu, okay, then if we didn't get the answers, then how we can improve in the devotional service?
Well, then you don't ask the questions to them. You're asking the wrong people. Stop asking wrong people. Waste of time.
That can be done.
Yeah, very simple. See, if we are inquisitive about questions, then you open the book and study. Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. And once we study, then we get all the answers. You know? And if somebody doesn't want to give the answers, just change the association. They may not give for whatever reasons. We don't know. You know? But in public program, if it's a relevant question, it should be answered. Or Prabhupada, they're answering the questions all the time.
Okay.
Is it okay?
Okay.
Is it okay, Sanjeev Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yeah, very nicely explained. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you, Sanjeev Prabhu, for your nice class and giving nice examples from Bhagavatam for class of people.
Thank you.
And so the verse says, Chaturvidha bhajante mam. And Prabhupada writes in the translation, which you very nicely shared, four, best among the Bhartas, 4 kinds of pious men render devotional service. The problem starts here, the render devotional service. They come to Krishna, but like we're just facing that situation, no? So the word here, bhajante, Prabhupada writes it, render service, not about doing something whimsical. So how would you, this is a question, I always get it, that why Prabhupada rendering service. What is the reason for these 4 kind of people? That's how they're engaged and how they do bhajante. What is that thing, Prabhu?
Thank you, Prabhuji. Very nice question. Yes, rendering, this is very important, and this is also important part. Srila Prabhupada also mentioned the rendering service. And the examples from Srimad Bhagavatam, those devotees also, although they have aspiration, but they render service, means they come to Lord Krishna, they come to Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's render service. Like if you go to demigods, that doesn't come under render service. That's a business transaction. So you do something and they will give in return back. But render service means it's done in a relationship, either servitor and master, or we go to like a 5 moods, 5 types of relationships with Krishna. So service always rendered in the mood of in the relationship, when we have a relationship, like mother renders service to the child. So yeah, that's the difference I can think of, probably. That's my understanding of rendering service. If Amrish Prabhu can elaborate a little more, Prabhuji, I request you to.
Thank you. This is a leading question, Avinash Prabhu, to increase this discussion. You answered correctly. Mainly, Prabhupada says that if you love somebody, then you do some service. You cannot say, I love somebody and don't do service. I just think about the person. That's it. You actually do some action to perform your love, to express your love, So that's why bhajante would mean rendering service. This is what I understood, It's a leading question for everyone to understand. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is that okay?
Yes, thank you, Prabhu. Yeah, without doing service, how do actually we express our love? Yeah, that's correct, Prabhu. Thank you. Like you gave a nice example of Sanjay Prabhu as mother and the child. Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Okay, so we conclude our discussion today for the 6 o'clock class on the 4 pious kinds of pious people approach the Supreme Lord Krishna. And now we will disconnect for about 20 seconds our live channel on YouTube, and we will start again in 20 seconds with our concepts of Bhagavad Gita